Coach, you got out to a great start in the first half, and then they kind of just chipped away during the second half. What was it about maybe your defense that didn't go as well in the second half as it did in the first?
Well, I mean, I want to give Fresno State credit first. I mean, they have talented guys. I mean, they're a team that played in the NCAA tournament last year, and their perimeter is a really good perimeter. And their big guys gave them a huge lift. I mean, their starting centers shot 15 for 20 from the field for 31 points, and that's not something they've done. They also have not been a good shooting team, and, they shot the lights out. And so you got to give them credit. We played the hand in that. I thought we did some pretty good things defensively in the first half. We had 2 breakdowns on the kid Taylor at the end of the first half. And that's kind of when I felt like we let our foot off the gas pedal. And it's not very smart. And I have to do a better job of conveying that.
Yeah, and there have been certain situations this season where the second half hasn't been as good as the first. Obviously, that's a point of emphasis.
Well, the good news is we've had big leads, and so it's not all bad news. It's understanding that in order to maintain the lead or build the lead, you have to do the same things that got you the lead, and I have to do a better job at conveying that to my team.
Reinhardt's still in a little bit of a rut. Shot 1 of 7 tonight. Obviously, you bring him in to be a shooter. But it seems like at points maybe the ball's staying with him a little bit too long, trying to create too much. Do you tell him to maybe try to do a little bit less, or how do you get a guy out of a run like this?
Well, anytime you're struggling from the field, and you're not shooting as well as kind of history has shown, you look at shot selection, very first thing. And obviously that's something that we talk about a lot.
Fisher gets those 2 fouls in the second half. He ends up having to sit for about 3 minutes. Held looked really good in the first half, but when Fisher's off the floor, a guy like Carter ends up having a great deal of success. How do you stop guys like that when Fisher's on the bench?
Yeah, well, I think Matt gave up 2 field goals, one-on-one. And so of the 15, he gave up 2.
Yeah, Coach, your team shot 6 of 11 on threes in the first half, then 3 of 10 in the second. Seems like Fresno State was making an effort to play your shooters a little bit tighter. How do you adjust in the second half when teams start to hedge on screens and really get up in your shooters' faces?
Well, one of the things that when teams trying to take away your shooting is that what should be open are drives. And, we had talked going into this game in anticipation of them trying to do that. Of this was going to be a driving game, and then we had to see what the drives presented in terms of opportunities, whether it's to get all the way to the basket or the drives opened up the perimeter shot. I don't think we did that as well as we needed to in the second half.
This season, you guys have been a really good free throw shooting team as a whole, and down the stretch, guys were able to put it away by making free throws. Is it a good experience to be able to have clutch free throws and have guys knock them down and know that they can do it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think anytime you're in a close game and you're able to win, that's a positive thing. I mean, you can't simulate pressure free throws in practice. You can tell them they're going to run or whatever you want to tell them, but there's nothing like having to get up on the line at a 2-point game and you make both free throws and you make it a 2-possession game instead of a 1-possession game. And we had that instance a number of times. In the final stretch. Also, we have freshmen at the line, and they've never, they're not used to being in those types of situations. And, our 2 freshmen really delivered. What they've been able to do, I mean, they had 1 turnover against a team that really pressed. What they've been able to do in the last 2 games, especially when there's supreme game pressure, is very impressive. And look, it's always better to learn from a win, and we're fortunate to be able to walk away with a win, and we understand that there's a lot to learn.
And, you've gotten through this week so far with 2 wins. You went on the road and got 1. You held on for 1 today. How does that help you build some momentum going into Saturday's game, obviously being a big one?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a game that you have to tell our guys is a big game. I mean, they respect Wisconsin, and as good as Fresno State and Georgia is, I mean, they're not nearly as good as Wisconsin. And so we'll have to be at our best in order to beat them. We'll have to play a 40-minute game, execute a game plan, and try our very best to be one of the better teams in the country.
That's it, thanks.